Thank you all for having me today. I'm from Tampa and I'm here in Tampa. So through technology, I'm able to join all of you today and share a little bit about uh, the product that we're building. And I would love to have all of you as uh, 1 million cups audience and as people who kind of help provide feedback for products, help us understand whether this could be a solution that works for small businesses. And I'll take a step back and kind of just explain why I started this. So 2 years back, I was working in a large corporation, and just like all of you probably have experienced at some point, had the bug to go start my own venture. And so I was thinking about what should I do. About 10 years back, I had another startup that had failed, which was trying to import and export products from overseas. I'm from India, and sell them in the US. And it hit some roadblocks and it closed. And when it closed, I had written down why I think it had failed. So when I decided to start again, I wanted to go fix some of the challenges I faced in my previous business. And the one thing that stood out most to me was that it was, while most of the pieces of the business worked, I did not know what was available to me in the community. And it's not from lack of networking or lack of the hustle factor. I think that in general, organizations that support entrepreneurship tend to get siloed and focus on the mission that they're on. And then that then makes it really hard for small businesses to find the services that they need to scale and grow their business. So we built a platform, and I'm going to talk to you about it today and get some feedback on the usefulness of something like this for a small business in your community, and would love some feedback from you. Okay, so the ask is to put on your small business hat and provide some feedback on the usefulness of a tool like this for small businesses to start or restart their business as they go through COVID-19. The opportunity that we identified early on was that even though there are lots of resources in the community, it becomes hard for somebody to know what's exactly the right resource. So for example, there could be a local entrepreneurship center, there could be a local SBDC, there's a local SCORE, there could be other chambers of commerce in the community. But based on who you speak with first, or what we call the first step resource, you might end up never knowing about everything else that's out there for you. And we ourselves experienced that in the first business. So we built this platform to kind of help navigate the ecosystem. And so we built this platform. Funny story, when we first built it, I said, where can I go talk about what we built? So I found the local 1MC chapter here in St. Pete, Florida. I presented there. And what happened there, and in every other place that I presented in other pitch competitions or road shows, was that people would come to me and say, we love what you're doing. It's clearly a need, but we're already doing this in our community. And is there a way for us to be able to use your tools? So from there came this idea that rather than us provide these resources in the community, why don't we actually give them to the community providers and let them use this as a platform to connect? Because they're already doing this work. There's already this network that they're trying to build. So out of this came, which by the way, I've presented in 50 other 1 million cups, and I've had 50 pivots. So your feedback is critical because it's going to give me another pivot. But it allowed us to then put a product out in the marketplace, which was essentially white labeling our platform and creating these micro communities all across the US. And so today we have these living, breathing communities where if you're, let's say, in Detroit, you will be able to download the app or go to the website and be able to instantly connect with resources across the Detroit ecosystem, be able to find in a matter of seconds direct links to loans and grant applications, direct links to first step resources with phone numbers of people you can call, access to events locally in the community, and reopening guides, playbooks, flowcharts, permitting documents, all in one place, curated and brought together by the community. And I will briefly touch on some of the tools, but it's really all of the tools that you need to power an ecosystem. So there's an events calendar, there's a resource compass, there's software to run your co-working space, there's a scheduling feature, there's co-working space software, there's surveying capability, mentorship capability. And then we work with partners across the US to also provide programmatic support through them, and also grant making support on the platform. How does the revenue model work? So it's $8,000 per community. It essentially gives you all of the services described, unlimited users, unlimited features. The idea is to make cost the lowest barrier to entry. And then we also work directly with statewide chambers of commerce or Department of Commerce with the state. And it's $25,000 for the entire state to have a platform where all of the different cities can have their own hubs. This slide is hard to maintain. We keep growing. We sign about a client a week, and we are over 15,000 entrepreneurs today. We are across the world, and we're in several cities across the US as well. The value proposition for these small communities is that you do great work already, but it's hard to connect and speak with each other because you're doing great work, but it's also hard to measure. And what you can't measure, you can't improve. So my background is in market research. I worked for Nielsen leading global innovation prior to this role. And so I lived and died by dashboards. Green means ignore, yellow, work on it today, red, bring in the firefighters, right? That was the mentality we worked in. But that created great efficiencies and allowed us to focus on ROI on our work. That's the same kind of efficiency we've brought on. We've already seen really big impact early on. We've had a lot of CRA dollars come through our reports. We've had innovation dollars come in. We've even had other philanthropic organizations support cities through the data from our platform. And the data, when we talk about it, is actually granular data that helps move the needle on small businesses. Small businesses are usually an afterthought. Even as you look at the pandemic, you see billions and billions of dollars being channeled to large corporations. Small businesses get the leftover. But that's because we don't effectively tell the story of what's happening in our communities and how we are breaking down silos and making small businesses the heartbeat of the nation. So we work with a lot of big foundations that are telling these stories like Kauffman, et cetera, to be able to break down these barriers for small businesses and get them to the forefront by using data to do the storytelling. A little bit about our team. We're constantly growing. We're fully profitable. We're 2 years into our journey, and we also have some great positions open. But you can find out more about our team at startupspace.us/team. And then I will wrap it up. Hopefully I've not gone over 7 minutes with the ask, is this useful for Iowa City?
Well, I would say I think it's definitely intriguing. Aaron, who's also on this call, and we operate a co-working space in Iowa City. And at the beginning of the pandemic, we were discussing what would a virtual co-working environment look like. We met a group out of Detroit, Michigan, called the Beehive or Bees Hive. And they were doing a virtual co-working. It wasn't an app platform, but it was more like they would send information about Zoom events, community building events through email. So I'm just trying to figure out, in a world where there are many apps, would I want to download another app for this information, or would I prefer to just Google it and find it on a website? So I'm kind of curious how you landed on the app format. Have people given you feedback on why you should do that or shouldn't do that versus a website or some other kind of community platform?
Yeah, great question. So I think I wasn't clear earlier. So I'll kind of give you the layout of what our platform looks like. Our goal is to democratize information and break down barriers. And when we say that, we just don't mean that. We actually do and live and breathe that. And I'll explain how that works. So where there are digital divides, or where there's lack of access to broadband, or where you have underrepresented or underserved communities, technology is an issue, right? So this is not just a mobile app, it's also a desktop. You also don't need access to startup space to get access to all the tools I've just mentioned to you. So I can actually share my screen since I'm still sharing, and I'll show you some tools, completely open. Anybody can use this. And just give me 1 second. If I can get out of the screen that I'm sharing right now, I'll be able to show you some of the tools that we have, and kind of bring to life this idea that you don't need to actually be on startup space to be able to get access to all of the information. So I'm going to go to an incognito window for just 1 second, because what I'm going to show you, you can see this yourself and you can access this yourself. So the incognito window, all it's doing is uh, taking away my login into the platform. So, and I'll give you a quick few examples. So Forge North is one of our partners in Minnesota. So we support the entire Minnesota ecosystem through them. If you go to their platform and click on Find Resources, we power their website from the backend. You don't need any login. You have not changed the behavior of the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur always went here for resources. They still go here, but you can go here and say, I'm looking for a Black entrepreneur looking for funding and capital in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And I can hit search, and in one click, I can get specific companies or organizations that support Black entrepreneurs looking for funding. I could even change criteria and say, I am a small business and all I need is access to early stage capital. So I go to stage and say, I'm an ideation. I need funding and capital for idea stage. And instantly I have access to businesses that can support me within 50 miles of St. Paul, Minneapolis for the ideation stage. The same for events. So you can go to their events page and find curated information specifically around the Coven is a co-working space. They put a lot of events there. So their events are listed. It kind of brings the community together. Or you can go to their COVID-19 page and get access to all of the COVID-19 support resources in one place, direct access to loans and grants, direct access to resources you can call, direct access to upcoming events or content on how to reopen or how to navigate COVID-19. So our goal is constantly to break down barriers. And that means in some cases, we even print out some of this stuff and give to people where there's a digital divide. The idea of the app was that in a lot of the Midwest, there's lack of access to broadband. So a lot of the programmatic support our clients provide goes directly through the mobile phone. So you don't need broadband. You can access it through your smartphone and get access, the same level of access that somebody in a large city can get through a desktop with broadband, access to programs around how to start a company, how to have a Facebook page, how to do lead generation, all of these kind of complex topics whittle down into bite-sized content on your phone to be able to access it. So on the question of virtual co-working space, a lot of our clients are co-working spaces that are focused on providing value to the community, and they do it virtually. We also manage physical spaces. So when it's safe to reopen, you can power your space through there. But at the end of the day, it's not about another app, right? We're not trying to get anybody to download an app. We don't even tell people about the app. We simply say your community is providing resources, and we're going to simplify that journey for you. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I didn't really get that from your presentation. So I don't know if you can like weave that in better next time. Maybe I missed it too. But yeah, that's something we've talked about on our own website, having a resource like this. But my follow-up question would be, what's the unique opportunity that you're providing that like, why couldn't I just build this myself on my own website? You know?
A lot of people do. And that is the first step to actually siloing. Because for example, in Detroit, and I can bring up the Detroit website to show you, we built this page for them. And this was like a coming together of the entire ecosystem. And if you think of Detroit, there's lots of big players. You've got Invest Detroit, you've got the local DEGC, which is a local municipality, you've got the Michigan municipality, you've got the city government, you've got like 10 different nonprofits, you've got Quicken Loans, you've got lots of big players, right? And everybody had their own COVID-19 page because the barrier to building the page is really low. Open a WordPress website, throw your resources up there. But how are entrepreneurs and small businesses going to navigate all of this? So they rallied around the resources we are providing and said, let's all just coalesce around one page and let's just put all our information there. And our guarantee to every city we're in is that our information is the most current. Every 24 hours, all of the content is revisited in every city that we're in for this COVID-19 page, right? So it's the most up-to-date thing. And that's the other challenge. It's not difficult to build, it's very difficult to maintain, right? And we tell people the moment you build it, it's instantly redundant because people change jobs, the grant applications get closed or are full, right? So the ability to manage it and the ability to bring people around it. And our Detroit page alone has over 9,000 visits in the last 12 weeks. So, and it's been featured on the local television channel WXYZ. It's been covered by all the news reporters. And that's the thing, right? If everybody had their own page, we can't have all of us on TV. But having a neutral third party that's like the plumbing lines into the city can then be shared and kind of rallied around.
So you're keeping information updated, or your client who paid for your platform is keeping it updated?
We keep it up to date. So our model includes 20 hours of programmatic support for every community we're in. And so as part of the contract, you get 20 hours a month and we manage all of the content for the community.
And do people submit their information to you, or how you are sourcing the info, or how does that work?
It's all of the above. It's all of the above. So our clients send us information, we source information. The platform is built for people to be able to submit information that can be moderated. So there's a huge curation component, but it's a team effort. Everybody, is sharing information all the time. And our job is to work with our partners to curate it and make it usable.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm loving the rapid fire style. I was just starting to go.
Are there any other questions?
Do you find $8,000 is a reasonable amount for most people, or that seems like a lot for if it were just a co-working space paying for it? But if, I guess, multiple organizations went in together, it wouldn't be that much.
Yeah, and we also do monthly. It's at $660, $667 a month. Just the programmatic support itself would cost more than that. And we do things like impact reporting. We do a lot of cross-pollination of ideas. We are in over 50 cities in the US. And so if you think about it, at any given point in time, we can connect you with people doing similar work in other communities, et cetera. So it seems like a lot, but when you look at the value, it's actually the cheapest platform for similar work out there. So we're about 1/4 of the cost of other platforms that do even simple things like just ecosystem mapping. And we've never had a client back away for price, but also the price is to make sure that we have the right ecosystem representatives, right? That you need the ecosystem to come together, not just one person. If it was like, we first started with like $1,200, anybody could pay $1,200, but then we ended up not representing that ecosystem. So the $8,000 kind of puts a little check to make sure that it is coming from the ecosystem. And if somebody can pay, chances are they do represent some of that ecosystem. And then we work with, once we get the payer, we actually then go and rally the entire ecosystem. So we're not just interested in our client. In most cases, our clients also want us to rally everybody together. So once we have a paying client, then we, as part of our 45-day launch process, we bring in the local SBDC, bring in the local score, we bring in all of the key influencers in the community, tell them, listen, it's already paid for, there's no sale here, but this is the value your community gets. And then it usually gets people very excited to know that there's this offering in the community that they can rally around. And we go to every, what we call first step resource. We'll end up at the library system, we'll end up at the local co-working spaces, we end up at the SBDC score, SBA, everywhere that people we think would start businesses and give this as a resource for them.
Would you ever consider offering a kind of subscription service where, we're buying the platform, but we're not really buying the management? So like I'm operating a co-working space, really well connected in the community, know everyone who is part of that ecosystem. I'm just curious about if you ever thought about that option.
There is for 5,000, you lose the program support. So you lose the 20 hours at 5,000. So we do have a $5,000 model where you don't have to, which is I think $450 a month. You don't have to pay for any of the services. And the thing is, I haven't even talked about the features. This literally replaces 4 or 5 different systems. It replaces Eventbrite, it replaces co-working space software, it replaces Salesforce as an inbuilt CRM. It replaces like Facebook groups. It replaces like several tools that you might be paying a little bit about money for, but then it puts all of your reporting in one place, and it gives you a complete profile of the community you serve versus pulling from one report Salesforce and then having to go to Facebook groups to respond and then running all your events through Eventbrite. It brings everybody to one platform, and then you are able to map that journey of that entrepreneur through the ecosystem. What events are they attending? What programs are they taking? What is the size of their business? You're able to get a profile of who this person is that you're supporting because you're doing all the activities in one place. And yeah, so that's why we have the two models. We have maybe 2 or 3 clients that use a 5,000, but almost everyone doesn't have an intern or somebody support staff, and this seems like a great way for them to offload some of their work onto us.
I think it's good to give that option.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going through some of those different things, those different disconnected things like Eventbrite and Salesforce and all that. What kind of competitors do you have right now in this space?
So people keep asking, and I teach entrepreneurship, so I know this is the wrong answer, but I'll say it anyways. We haven't found any competitors in this space yet. Okay. We have competitors for individual components of what we do, but we have uniquely put this together simply by feedback, primarily from our clients. So anytime a client comes to us and says, can we do this? We build it free of charge. And we've literally built the kitchen sink by clients coming and saying, I have this one pain point. And we're like, okay, you're a paying client. I will listen to you and I will build it. So, but I know it's a wrong answer, because if it doesn't exist, it will exist very soon when people see that you're able to provide something in the marketplace, or there is somebody working in stealth mode, or somebody who's representing themselves differently that we are not aware of. But we do competitive bids all the time with large university systems that we are a part of, and they have come back and said they haven't been able to find comparable products, so we could skip the RFP process for procurement, because there isn't a comparable product that can be priced at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, David, I have a question. How do you avoid, if I understood well, I mean, you're putting the information of existing in different parts and you put it together, you homogenize it. How do you avoid the risk of, not avoiding that it becomes too complex? Because the information sometimes the information is different because different companies or different websites or different they have to highlight certain things, and if you want to put everything together, doesn't that make everything complex for everything you want to put in? You were talking about COVID-19, but there are infinite things that could go there. And second, how does someone that wants to, that uses that platform also find information? Sometimes, you're looking for information, okay, you have to know what you're looking for, but what do you do for that, to consider information which is not yet relevant? I mean, you know what I mean? That hasn't become irrelevant yet. I don't know if it's clear.
Okay, I will try to answer the questions. So the first piece, which is, oh, sorry, this cat, sorry, cat just walked onto my desk. The first piece is this too complex? So, yes, it could be complex. I think there's a valid point there, but there's also value in kind of bringing relevant information together. And I'll try to explain, the power behind it. So for example, a lot of our clients don't have the ability to create platforms that are 100% compliant for people with disabilities, or create platforms that have the platform accessible for people with who speak different languages, or have a platform that is able to keep your content relevant. So while it might seem complex, there are a lot of different things that we can create with scale. So for example, our platform is one of the few platforms out there that's 100% compliant for people with disabilities, people who might not be able to see or hear. They can access this platform in other ways. Also, this platform is translatable into other languages. So if you speak Spanish, or if you speak Arabic, or if you're part of the Hmong community, if you're part of these different immigrant communities, you can still access our platform in those languages. Those are all like benefits that kind of negate, why bring everything together when there might be different purposes that different websites exist, is that you can create scale and you can create better user experience for them. And in terms of content not being relevant yet, so on our loans and grant applications page, we actually give you when those go live. So you can also track and put a calendar and say, okay, on this date, this goes live, so I can go access it. So yes, we got to be really careful of putting content that's just in time and is actually useful. So we do have things like making sure that you can see when the grant will open and with a direct link to that application and when it will close. But I think they're great questions, and those are the kind of things that we grapple with every day to make sure that we're constantly adding value to both our partners and to the end user around the user experience, the breaking down of barriers to getting access to information, and then making sure the information is useful when you do get there. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm intrigued by your product. I don't really have a question, but I think we'll schedule a demo just to learn more. I think that you're onto something really amazing.
Thank you so much. I would love that. I would love to kind of.
Yeah, I was just going through your website. I'm just super impressed. I think that the one thing I really like to do when I'm researching into a new company is I like to look at their team. And you've got a really diverse team, and you've got, which I think the talent, it speaks volumes about what you're doing, and bravo, man.
Thank you for mentioning that. One of the secrets I learned working in corporate America is that if you want great talent, simply make your team diverse. That automatically, you don't even have to do anything. Just hire people who don't look like you. And that itself gives you that 50% edge.
Yeah.
And that's a secret I've taken to heart. And anytime I can find a diverse candidate, I'm all over it. And part of my role is to constantly look for great people to bring in, and diversity is something we not just speak about, but we value and we try to highlight in the work we do. So thanks for noticing that.
Sure.
Definitely a problem that we've talked about in our organization. How do we collect all of the entrepreneurial resources and connect people to them? So like Aaron said, you're definitely onto something here.
Yeah. Yeah.
David, I have a question about the communities that sign up for this. So specifically, like here in Iowa, we have quite a few different communities or entrepreneurial communities. So even the fact that Iowa City has 1 million cups there, we have 1 million cups in Cedar Rapids, but there's so much that we also do together and collaborate on. And then even just Iowa being such a small state, we do a lot of collaboration with Des Moines, even though they're considered their own community, and Cedar Falls would be considered their own community. On a platform like this, do you see each of those communities having their own space, or do you typically see some of these smaller communities kind of band together and say, this is the Iowa startup space, for example?
Yeah. So there are two models. We have states where we have statewide licenses, like we just showing you. Minnesota here is actually a statewide license where it's broken up into 6 regions. So not cities, but regions, because that's how their grant making process works. So there is Northeast, Southeast, Southwest. And so based on how the state looks at grant making, the hubs are broken out to each of those regions. And each of the hubs has a key player. It could be a co-working space, it could be a local accelerator or incubator, it could even be a university that owns the resource part of that hub. And then through there, they all collaborate with each other through the super hub. So we have what we call the super hub, is how they all connect with each other. And the value there is that they're all speaking the same language. So when somebody says journey of an entrepreneur, they all mean the same journey of the entrepreneur, right? They don't have 6 different journeys because the definitions are different. So there's a lot of power in doing this statewide, but we appreciate the complexity of what this means in different states. So it's a long journey. Sometimes it takes 6 to 8 months to convince the state commerce department or the economic development department. And so we have both approaches. So the second approach, for example, in Colorado, we have close to 6,000 entrepreneurs in Colorado. So we actually are able to generate some fascinating reports on the ecosystem in Boulder, in Denver, in other parts of the state. But there we took the approach of going directly to the cities and to the local EDAs. So we have a contract with Denver University. We have a contract with University of Colorado. We have a contract with the Denver South EDA. We have all these different contracts because we couldn't get the state to say yes. So we went to individually and negotiated with each of the cities. And so they're still under this umbrella where they're all sharing information. They have about 600 mentors across their network. If you think about it, a mentor in Iowa is going to be a mentor in all of the Iowa cities, right? There's only so many mentors and there are only so many experts. So by being on the platform for one community, they're able to mentor like 5 different communities because it's the same profile, the same login, etc. And the platform talks between different hubs really well. So you can simply switch your hub and instantly connect with that local ecosystem. So we prefer going through the state, but it's a very complex process and you need to have a lot of people singing from the same hymn book. Instead, if you show individual value in all these cities, you could accomplish the same thing. And so, if Iowa City has a hub, Des Moines has a hub, Cedar Rapids has a hub, they all talk to each other and they all cross-pollinate ideas, cross-pollinate resources, people, etc. And that is just as effective as going to the state. And so we prefer one way or the other. The goal is at the end of the day, is to show enough value to each of these communities for them to say, yep, let's get on this platform and let's connect our entrepreneurs.
I have 2 more questions actually. So one, are you able to customize the filtering? So like I think of like if we were to do this on the state of Iowa level, I'd want to maybe have the filter of kind of industry focus. So like we have, a big ed tech sector here. We have a big ag tech sector here. So could you filter by like what kind of subject you're interested in?
Yes, you can. So you can still see my screen. If you go here, you can actually filter by industry.
Okay.
So you can go here, select industry. And we do work with a lot of different cities that are focused on, like, for example, in Battle Creek, we work with the Kellogg Foundation, specifically around the food network there. And so we have a food map we've built on top of the resource map to show all the different commercial kitchens, all the different places for prototyping. Absolutely. So you can definitely curate this platform. It's built to be completely decoupled and built back up based on how your community looks at resources.
And then, sorry, I keep asking about pricing because I'm curious. So do you have different pricing for the statewide level versus like regional level versus city level? Because I feel like that would be something you'd want to consider as well, because a city level might not be as hard as like a region level versus a state level. State's going to be a lot more work to maintain and organize.
Yep. So we start at 5,000. We have 5,000, 15,000, 25,000, and then we have one at 100,000.
Okay.
The $100,000 model actually brings somebody into your ecosystem to run your ecosystem, what we call the managed service model. We have that as well. So for example, in Detroit, we actually have somebody on the ground that runs the entire ecosystem that's paid for. So based on the size of your community, and then we also have like intermediate model beyond 25,000 where clients will pay specifically for some part-time work when, especially if they're statewide hubs, they'll ask us, can you bring somebody for about 6 months and we'll pay them 25 hours a week? Can you help bring the entire ecosystem together? Because a lot of what we do is training and onboarding. For example, in Nevada, which is a super hub for us, we're now onboarding 4,000 people from the Las Vegas Chamber. That's a lot of heavy lifting, right? And they use the CRM function, they use it for managing members. And so there is a lot of heavy lifting that goes beyond just the initial contract. And honestly, for us, at the end of the day, we can completely negotiate a price. You're talking to the CEO and founder. You tell me what you can pay. And I've had lots of chambers. We just brought on the Black Chamber here in Tallahassee, and we cut them a break because, we wanted to work with them. And, so price has never been an issue with any of our clients. It's really about value creation and making sure that, it meets what you're looking for. So I wouldn't get hung up on the price. I would rather focus on, if we had this, how do we rally the community together? And really that should be the focus.
I love that approach.
Yeah, I know.
You're becoming my favorite person of Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. At least personally, the I mean, this can be for future presentations. For the price gave me a little sticker shock at first, but then when you were explaining, it's replacing Eventbrite, it's replacing Salesforce, it's replacing all of these disconnected things that ecosystems are already using, then it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is perfectly in line with that. So maybe that's part of the presentation in future communities. It's like, yeah, it's this much, but here's what you're getting. And I don't know if that came across, and maybe that's why we've had
Great
so many
feedback.
questions on that today.
Yeah, and great feedback. I used to not have a price slide, and then people be like, "Why didn't you mention the price?" So I put the price slide in there. But in 7 minutes, it's so hard to talk about what you do, and more importantly, I really want to focus on why I do it.
Yes.
I'd rather spend the 7 minutes just telling you why I wanted to do this, right? Because we can always have like follow-up calls if you can get the hook in, right? What's in it for me hook, then people want to hear more. So
Makes sense. Are there any other questions? We've got time for maybe one or two more. I'm not hearing any. I guess we will. I've got two questions. I've got our traditional final question. What can we as the community do to help you?
So definitely feedback from you today has been really helpful. Definitely need to revisit, the value proposition around price and have that solid. That's something that definitely can clarify better. And then also, if there's after this call, if there's other things that you find about us that you'd love to provide feedback, would welcome that. And also, if you think that there is somebody in your community that you think would be a good fit for our product, we would love an introduction so we can see if Startup Space can be in Iowa City.
Very nice. Yeah, and it looks like we've got a lot of the movers and shakers on this call right now that might be good folks to talk to. One final thing: what's your contact info? How do we get in touch with you afterwards?
So I will put this in the chat really quick.
Okay.
I'll put my email address if you can grab it. It's davidpanraj@startupspace.app.
Okay.
So startupspace.app, and startupspace.app is also the platform where you can create a free account, and this platform auto geofences you. So when you join, it actually puts you in Iowa City. You can always change your city and find about other cities that are on the platform, but everybody always joins the local city that they're a part of, even if we don't have a hub there. And it gives you the option of hubs around you. So it takes your radius and shows you all the other hubs you can be a part of around the community. But you can visit us there, or you can email me, davidpanraj@startupspace.app. And Aaron, I would love to connect with you offline and show you a fuller demo of the platform.
It sounds awesome.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much. Learned a ton today. This was fantastic. So we're very happy to have you, and hopefully you'll be able to at some point make it to Iowa City and actually see our community and merge and everything. And once we get past all this COVID-19 stuff. So thank you for.
I would love that. And before this, I did so in 2019 or 2019, I traveled to 50 different cities that year.
Oh, wow.
And I did a lot of the 1 Million Cups presentations live all the way up to San Diego and did it in person. So I would love to come in and see you all in person once this is over.
Very nice. Well, looking forward to that, definitely. Thank you so much.